Hi everyone, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I want to talk about whether coffee can cause acne. Now recently someone in my community shared that after reducing coffee their acne improved a lot, and that caught my attention. Because I have actually been tracking this myself every single day for nearly 2 years now. And what I realized over time was that the biggest difference was not milk, not sugar, and not even just caffeine, but it was the coffee itself. The bean variety, how it was processed, and maybe even more so, how it was brewed. Because coffee is not just one thing, even though it often gets treated like it is. When I first started trying to find the root cause of my acne, coffee was just part of my day. I was drinking around 3 to 4 cups per day, usually with meals, so with or after breakfast. Sometimes one in between, one after lunch, and one in the evening or after dinner. It was a mix. Machine coffee, filter coffee, sometimes black, sometimes cappuccino, sometimes from bakeries or coffee shops, sometimes homemade with a fresh full-fat frothed cow's milk. So it was really just part of my normal routine. Not extreme, but also not controlled. So overall it was very random, and because of that, almost impossible to measure anything. And if this sounds similar to how you drink coffee now, it can be very hard to see patterns. But I had to start somewhere. So like most people, I start with milk. I removed milk completely, and over time there was no real difference in my acne flare-ups. After that, I looked at sugar. From my tracking, 1 or 2 teaspoons of normal table sugar in coffee never showed a connection to my acne. Then I moved to black coffee, good beans, mostly Arabica, and still saw no major difference in my acne. So that was the point where I started thinking maybe it was really the coffee itself and not just what I was adding to it. So I decided to try something different and switch to lupin coffee because it was the closest alternative to coffee in taste. And that was the first time I noticed a clear improvement in some of my acne flare-ups. And it was not just my skin, I also noticed changes in how my body reacted overall. No jitters, far fewer digestive issues, and I felt a lot calmer overall. And my husband also noticed improvements in his congestion issues he used to have. His nose congestion disappeared completely, and his ear congestion improved a lot. And that was when I really started thinking that it is not just about the milk or sugar, but about the coffee itself. So I reintroduced coffee again, and almost like clockwork, digestive issues came back. And shortly after, I also started noticing some breakouts again. At first I thought it must be the caffeine, because I could not really rule that out. So I stayed there for a while, only having coffee occasionally, mostly because I really enjoyed the taste. Then later, when I moved to Southeast Asia for a few months and spent some time in Thailand, I met a small organic coffee grower who introduced me to fine Robusta. And I have to say, the coffee he offered was completely different. I had never tasted anything like it before. It was much lighter and completely different from what I was used to. And this is when it became very clear that coffee is not just coffee. And if you think that coffee affects you too, it might not be about coffee in general, but about the specific coffee you are drinking. It is not only about what you add to it, it is also about the roasting level, the processing, and in many cases the bean variety and the brewing method. And this is also where I learned about oils and residues from a certain brewing methods, or what we often call crema. Because the brown foam layer you often see on top of espresso, or sometimes also on coffee from certain coffee machines, that is what we call crema. And crema is not really the coffee flavor itself. It is mostly a layer of coffee oils and trapped gases that form on top during certain coffee extractions. And depending on how your body reacts, those compounds can influence how you feel after drinking coffee. If you're sensitive to this, you might notice body or skin changes much faster. And also, different coffee varieties can interact very differently with digestion. And this matters because digestion can influence inflammation and hormones. And that can sometimes also show up in your skin. So this means that coffee by itself can absolutely be a trigger for some people. Now, what personally made the biggest difference for me was the brewing method. And it actually turned out that simplicity helped the most, because I did not need a complicated machine for this to work. I switched to simple filtered coffee, brewed in a basic dripper, because this type of brewing naturally filters out more oils and residues, which can make a big difference in how your body handles coffee. And this is what is currently working the best for me, and I can enjoy coffee again, sometimes 2 or 3 or even 4 cups a day. And even when I drink coffee outside, I usually try to choose filtered coffee instead of machine espresso style coffee, because it is often closer to what I know works the best for me. And if you're trying to figure out if coffee is affecting you, simple filtered coffee is often one of the best and cleanest places to start. So if you enjoy coffee, you do not automatically have to stop. But it is worth testing bean quality, roast level, variety, brewing method and additives. And also how often you drink it during the day, because spacing it out can reduce the total load. So you do not have to change everything at once. Even changing one thing can already tell you a lot. Because once you find something your body tolerates well, you can often keep enjoying coffee without problems. And I hope this helps you look at this topic differently and maybe helps you figure out what works best for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!